Hey guys, I am making a bit of a different video today. I usually showcase some gameplay in fractals, but this time I thought I would talk about the infusion system, which is a very old system. It was released with fractals after launch about 11 to 12 years ago, and frankly could use some changes to make it more simple. So I thought I would share those changes with you, and you can tell me if you agree with them or not in the comments. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. So what is the infusion system and how does it work? Fractals came with a new specific condition called agony, which is only present in fractals and can be applied by the environment or boss attacks. It is a condition that stacks and deals a percentage of your maximum health per second. So to counter that condition, agony resistance was added to the game, which is tied to infusions, and infusions can be applied to ascended pieces of gear, except the amulet. And they can also be applied to some exotic pieces as well, like some bag pieces that can be crafted. The problem with agony and the infusion system is that there are just way too many types of infusions. First of all, you have the enrichments, which used to be infusions, but now are called enrichments because whatever. And they give specific effects and can only be applied to the amulet. You also have some swim speed infusions, which increase your movement underwater, that can only be applied to the aqua breather. On top of that, you also have some world v-world infusions, which increase your damage against world v-world NPCs. So you're going to want to play with those in world v-world, but at the same time, you're going to want to play with those in fractals because they give agony resistance, and these do not. So as you can see, it's pretty complicated. Not to mention that you get them from different merchants, they have different conversion recipes in the Mystic Forge, different stats, and you even have some cosmetic infusions which have cosmetic effects tied to them. For example, I have a crystal infusion here, check infusion there, and these have specific effects that you can see on my character right here. So how do we approach this problem and make things a bit more simple? So what I would do personally would be to merge those two types of infusions, world v-world and fractals, into one, and that one would be the laurel infusion, which gives basic stats. Currently gives 4 stats of each, but simply bump it to 5 and make this the standard infusion. I would discontinue the agony infusions and keep the +1s. So basically you could keep those or consume those infusions to increase your agony resistance, your account bound agony resistance, and it would work a bit like luck. So you could just consume agony infusions and get a certain amount of agony resistance on your account. Or, well, unlock levels of agony resistance. So this could go up to the current max, which is 540, or this could be lower, it could be 200, it could be 300, doesn't matter. And this would require adjusting the fractal potion conversion as well, because if the maximum cap is increased, obviously converting 30% of the agony resistance into damage or boon duration would be quite annoying. And as a side note, I would also remove that vitality conversion and replace it with something much better, because how come the mist offensive potion turns into vitality? I will never understand, but such is life. These changes would require additional tweaks to clean up the system, like removing these tabs from the merchant, removing the artificer recipes for agony infusion conversion, and changing Mystic Forge conversion recipes for cosmetic infusions, as well as the new stat infusion introduced. As for the pricing of the new stat infusion, I would personally only change the costs of the Fractal Merchant and the Laurel Merchant. I would change the Agony Infusion requirement here to a T6 mat requirement, for example, 5 vials of blood for the Mighty Infusion and 5 integrated matrices. And for the Laurel Merchant, I would simply increase the cost to 20 or 25 laurels. I would also keep this tab available to people who own the very expensive Agony Infusions so that they could break them down to smaller parts and eventually get the new stat infusions that would be available here. Now, to compensate for the removal of existing infusions, players would receive a chest per infusion containing, for the World v World infusions, 1 stat infusion plus a Thimble of World XP, and for the Fractal infusions, 1 stat infusion plus integrated fractal matrices. To prevent players getting a lot of cash on the update, a cap could be introduced on the amount of keys that players can get from integrated matrices. And a sync could be introduced with the addition of new 24, 28, 32 slot fractal bags, just like they did with World v World, that could cost Supreme Runes of Holding and integrated matrices. The last point I wanted to cover was the removal of extra damage against World v World NPCs, which could easily be distributed among the existing World XP upgrades, Guard Killer and Mercenary's Bane, by adding a final tier or simply distributing the 18% missing to the existing tiers. And if this isn't enough, they could add a third World XP upgrade called Lord's Woe that would work against Lords and Supervisors. There you go. That is pretty much it for the changes that I want to cover. If you want more details, there'll be a file in the description of the video. And if you disagree or if you have things to say about the video, then make sure to comment. And until then, I will see you around.